Hello, I'm Herm Gailey. I'm here with a filly we call Josie. She's 10 months old. We bought her from the Hunt family at Open Box Rafter Ranch in South Dakota back in the fall. It's now April, so we've had her about 5 or 6 months. And she is growing up. She's doing well. She's still shaggy. Out there in the Dakotas, they have a lot of buffalo, and the Native Americans call them tatankas. Well, this one grew hair like a tatanka this winter, and it's thin now compared to what it was. She never got a snowflake on her all winter. I mean, she was warm. And so she's still shaggy and happy and just being a horse. She probably hasn't been brought in for 2 to 3 months. And I really didn't do anything with her except bring her out here and tie her up. These horses that we bought out there, we bought 2 of them, are awful nice horses. It doesn't hurt to start with that. What we're going to do with her today is we're going to pick up her feet. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is what I think of as the desensitization delusion. People tend to say, I want to desensitize my horse. If it's done right, that's great. You take the fear and the anxiety out of them. It makes them less explosive, quieter, more reliable. That is really good. What all too often happens, though, is people take a horse that would naturally be very responsive and they make him dull. They tend to use desensitization to get their horse shut down. And that's not really what they mean to do, but it often happens that way. What I want is a horse that I would describe as relaxed, but ready. Ready to be as sensitive as they were the day they were born, but without that fear, without the nervous component to it. So what I want to do is handle them up to where they trust me, to where they're confident, to where they'll allow me to do things and believe that the outcome's going to be okay. What I don't want to do is take them to where they're in some sort of hypnotic state and they suddenly wake up with a jolt and do something ugly. Because if you've seen a shutdown horse come back to life, it can be pretty dramatic. Plus, while they're shut down, they're not good for much. They're kind of in a daze going through life without a whole lot of engagement. And I just don't want that. Now, as to what we're doing here, first of all, a sharp-eyed person might say, that halter doesn't fit this filly perfectly. She's at that awkward stage where the weanling halter definitely doesn't fit her. This is a yearling halter. Probably the better thing to have on her would be sort of a small yearling halter, which I don't have in my arsenal of things. So this is a pretty close approximation. It's not going to do her any harm, but we've got a little extra slack here and there compared to where I'd like to have it. Second thing, I'm going to be picking up feet, and if you were to look at her feet, you might say they're in somewhat disgraceful condition, and they are. She is overdue for a trim. Our blacksmith is laid up. He's also a 40-year friend. Fred, get better. You know, it's really, all these years you've gotten away with all the things you've done, and you just sort of got some knee problems, and hopefully that's going to work itself out. But we're waiting for you, buddy. So if you were to say, you're ignoring that filly's feet, I'll plead guilty, but with extenuating circumstances. So we will get her feet trimmed. I have trimmed horses' feet myself. I will share with you that the best I can say for that job is they all recovered nicely. So I don't think that this filly needs me crawling underneath her and butchering her feet. So we're just going to wait this out, and when the time comes, I'm sure we'll get it sorted out. But somebody who is sharp-eyed and critical would pick up on that, and rightly so. That's how we find ourselves there. The other thing that somebody might find non-standard is she's tied up. There is a good argument to be made that when you work on picking up a horse's feet or when you do a lot of your handling, they should just be loose, on the end of a halter rope. and you maintain that control that way. I have always been comfortable working with horses in a tied position. I tie my horses young, I tie them carefully, I prepare them to be tied. So I'm quite all right with having her tied to do what I'm going to do with her. Now, if she got real troubled, I'd change that in a heartbeat. But I'm going to bet that she doesn't. So the first thing I'm going to do is the closest thing to desensitization that I want to do with this filly and her feet. In the past, I used to be kind of big on maybe putting ropes on their feet, picking them up. I still like to get them tangled up in ropes to let them learn how to deal with that. But I've found that if you leave the sensitivity in your horse and you get them relaxed but ready, you can do this just on a feel without any apparatus. The nearest thing to apparatus I have is this. This is what you call a stockyard whip. I like it better than most of these sticks that the clinicians put out because it's a little more flexible, it's lighter, it has a little more feel, and it's a little bit longer. It's not something that I really use for anything but this sort of thing, but it's a real handy thing to use to make your arm longer and keep you safe. So what I'll do is to make sure that I'm not going to provoke a kick. Now, full disclosure, because I've said that I want to do, now that was not a kick. That was something far nicer. I'm going to interrupt myself there. She thought maybe he wants me to pick up my foot. Watch, she'll do the same thing. God bless her. I have picked up her feet, I think, on 3 occasions before, and she's really been pleasant. But if you desensitized your horse, you wouldn't be able to do this. So I never want to lose that. I love that. I want to keep that sensitivity, but make sure that it's safe sensitivity. So I'm going to do the same thing with her front feet. I bet you'll pick that one up. There you go. Now that's not a pickup. I don't really want her to automatically hold her feet up like a circus trick, but it's nice to feel or to see that she has that level of feel and sensitivity. Now if she's a little troubled, then I'll just stay in there with her for a minute, go down her leg, go around her leg, see if I can tickle that pastern a little bit, and that's all good. Back leg, same thing. And see, she's a little bit concerned about that going across her hip. She doesn't really like that little lash tickling her. That's okay. Good thing to get used to. She did have this done one time in the past. Now let's see if she'll do the same thing with this hind leg as she did with the other. She's kind of got a little bit of weight on that leg. So I bet if I just shift her a little, she might be in a position to pick that foot up like she did the other one. There you go. And just that shift, you can see, you start with the smallest try. She was making an effort there. So what I'm going to do now, that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get kicked or struck or jumped on, I'm just going to go leg to leg, and I'm going to see how little I can do to pick up her feet. So I'm just going to run my hand down here, and I'm going to just see how little I can do. See how soft that is? And I'm going to put it right down, but I'm going to put it down. I'm going to work my way down. I'm just going to tickle that tendon there. There we go. She needed to arrange herself. That was okay. It's tempting to trim those feet, but I think I can resist. She's hoping I will. Now, see, I should have turned her loose sooner. Now I can turn her loose. And if it gets radical, then you do what you need to do to keep your horse safe and yourself safe. No particular reason, but I have a sequence I always follow when I handle horses' feet. If you can tell me the reason, let me know. I don't know why. But I do the front feet first, left to right. She's itching herself now. Let's see if she'll pick up this foot. I'm going to pull her hair there a little bit. Interesting observation is that she's a bit more sensitive on the left than the right. Probably because she's been handled on the left and is more responsive. And on the right, she's just a little more naive. I'll work my way down, do the same deal. See if, and I don't want her nibbling on me. There we go. There we go. Now, you can do a lot more than that. And of course, I'm going to take her feet forward, take them back, wiggle them around. But I don't need to do all of that right now. I like to take these things in small bites instead of just showering all this on her all at one time. Now, she's pretty even in her hind legs. Usually, the hind leg extended out behind them is the easier one to pick up. Like, I'll finish that step, girly. See, I don't want her way up underneath herself like that. There we go, that'll work. And I'm already in a position to cheat just a little. She said, "You are a little rude the way you just grabbed a hold of me." Maybe so. Now see how now she wants to kick a little. Just going to take a moment. Let us both compose ourselves a little bit. And try to make it work. So that time, instead of running my mouth quite so much, thought about what I was doing, and it went better. She's got an itch. You want to get that? You good? Pick up that left hind one more time. There we go. And down we go. Good. Now in my sequence, we're going to be at the right hind. Now I want her to move over. That's something I like to put on all of them at an early stage. When I cluck, they move their backside until I tell them to stop moving. So I'm going to work my way down. And I don't want to be indelicate, but what I realized when I was back there working is some of that moving her tail around. And, well, she got a little romantic interest in anything that goes on around her back end. But she's safe from me, I guarantee you. But that's why she's young and she's just starting to come in heat and figure that out. And that's what that tail, when she had her tail pushed over to the side like that, it was pretty clear from my vantage point that she might be trying out maybe one of her first heat cycles. And on that score, I just don't care. Get over it. And she will. I've had mares that they wanted to marry every gelding they saw at a horse show. If they saw a stallion, oh, that was, you know, it was on, except I'd put a saddle on them, take them in the show pen. That was irrelevant. They just did their job. But you have to expect that or you won't get it. So that's what I do with feet. You know, watch, I'll just go down, pick up this left front again. And that works for me. Now. There we go. There we go. There we go. I like to put it down. So that's what I do, and that's about how long I do it. You know, you can wear out your welcome. You're being real good. But you are a hussy, aren't you? So I don't want to wear out my welcome. I want to be polite to her if she's being polite to me. And we can come back another day and do more of this. we don't have to overwhelm her today. So you can see the sensitivity is still there. You don't have to drag on her foot and wrestle with her, but she's not trying to hurt anybody or hurt herself either. And that's all I could ask for. Thank you, Josie, and thank you.